In this video, we'll see about the skeletal muscle physiology. It is a contraction and relaxation of skeletal muscle. Is what we are going to see in this video, and the force length relationship, force loss relationship, and the Trappier staircase effect, the slow and fast fibers, all we will discuss. Okay. So these are the properties of muscle cells: irritability or excitability, conductivity and contractility. These are the properties of muscle cells. And you can see the skeletal muscle alone. There is a prominent striation. It begins and ends in a tendon. It's long, cylindrical and multinucleated. Anatomical and functional connections are absent. They make up the greatest mass of somatic musculature. They are under voluntary control. So you can see the muscle, which is epimysium, covered, total muscle is covered by a epimysium. Then you have fascicles, okay, that is covered by a perimysium, and each muscle fiber is covered by endomysium. Then you have the myofibrils, then myofilaments, and it has a sarcomere. It's a contractile unit. So you can see this is the sarcolemma. Okay, this is the transverse cisternae in T tubules, sarcoplasmic reticulum where calcium is being stored. You have several mitochondria here. This is a nucleus. This is a Z band. Okay, so A band is there, which is having a thick myosin filament. I band is having thin actin filament. You have myofibrils. So you should know what is sarcolemma, what is sarcoplasm, what is sarcoplasmic reticulum, what are myofibrils, what are myofilaments, which is sarcomere, it's a functional unit, contractile unit. You should know the H zone, Z line, M line. You can see M line is the center of A band, okay, whereas Z line is in the center of I band, okay. So I band is thin filaments, A band is a both thin and thick filaments will be there. So the proteins which are present, like actin filament, there are troponin, tropomyosin, actin. Troponin I, C and T. Troponin C only binds with calcium. Other proteins, if you can see, actin is a protein that is binding the actin to Z lines. Desmin is binding the Z lines to plasma membrane. Titin is very important. It connects the Z line to M line. The M line is in the I band. Z line you can see. M line is in the A band. Z line is in the center of I band. So it connects Z lines and M lines. Okay. And there are dystrophin, dystroglycans, and sarcoglycans, other proteins. So sarcotubular system you can see. There are T tubules. There are L tubules. L tubules is nothing but sarcoplasmic reticulum. Those are L tubules. And you have triad, that is two terminal cisternae along with one T tubules. About triads, I have explained about the neuromuscular junction video itself. So you can see that the action potential coming from, it will cause a neuromuscular transmission, cause end plate potential, muscle action potential, propagation of muscle action potential along sarcolemma, action potential reaches the triad via T tubules, depolarization of T tubules, dihydrogen receptor, that is why it called as DHP receptors, that will act as a voltage sensor actually, okay, and that will release the opening of ryanodine receptors where the ligand gated calcium channels opens up and calcium is going to influx from the sarcoplasmic reticulum into the sarcoplasm or cytoplasm. The calcium which is being released binds to the troponin C. So there will be a conformational changes in the troponin, and that will move the tropomyosin from the actin from the myosin binding site on the actin. Okay. So exposure of the binding sites on actin will occur. So before this itself, the myosin head will get what activated by binding of an ATP molecule. ATP get binded to the myosin head. Okay, once it binds, it hydrolyzes into ADP and PI. So once it get hydrolyzed into ADP and PI, the energy will be coming to the myosin. So ADP and PI will be there, and the myosin head will just bind with the actin on the myosin binding site. Okay, it is being formed by the troponin C binder with calcium. It moves tropomyosin and unwinds the tropomyosin, where it unmasks the myosin binding sites on actin. Now the activated myosin having ADP and PI bind to the actin, forming a cross bridge. So now, as a result, the inorganic phosphate removes. So after that, once the ADP is being removed, there will be a power stroke. That is, the myosin will pull the actin filament, okay, increasing its length, not length, it pulls the actin filaments. Okay, so there will be a slide of actin over myosin. Then once the ATP molecule is coming and attaching to the myosin head, so the myosin and the actin cross bridge is being removed, and the myosin head comes to its original position. You can see that in the next slide. So after this, there will be an active pumping of the calcium back to its sarcoplasmic reticulum via a pump called Sarca pump, which is an ATP dependent pump, and there will be also another one ATP. So for calcium to reuptake. Okay, so calcium binding ATP molecules are there. So two ATPs are utilized. Now the tropomyosin will cover the binding sites of actin. Okay, and relaxation will occur. You can see in this picture, starting from step 1, action potential is going to traverse across the T tubules. Action potential triggers the calcium release from terminal cisternae of sarcoplasmic reticulum. Calcium binding to troponin. Troponin changing its shape, removing the blocking action of tropomyosin. Contraction, myosin cross bridges alternatively attach to actin and detach, pulling the actin filaments towards center of sarcomere. Release of energy by ATP hydrolyzes the power cycling process. Removal of calcium by active transport by Sarca pump into the sarcoplasmic reticulum after the action potential ends. Next, tropomyosin blockage restored blocking actin active sites, contraction ends, and muscle fibers going to relax. So you have to remember that the ATP usage in the relaxation is more than the contraction. That is very important. So we can call it sliding filament theory, walk along theory, rolling theory. Many names have been given. Okay, cross bridge theory. So you can see ATP attached to the myosin head. ATP splits into ADP and PI. Myosin head cocks up. Attached to actin monomer, head tilt towards the arm. Power stroke actin is pulled. ADP and PI is released. ATP then attached to the head. Head is released from the actin. And ATP is cleaved into ADP and PI. Once again, the cycle is going to turn on. Okay. So you can see in this image. Myosin cross bridge attaches to actin. Working stroke, the myosin head pivots and bends as it pulls on the actin filament, sliding it towards the line. So both ADP and PA are released. Once again, a new ATP will bind to the myosin head, bringing it back to the original position, and the ATP is going to split up into ADP and PI. So you have isotonic contraction, isometric contraction. Isometric means the length will not change. Tonic means the length will change. Okay, but the volume will remain, the tone or the volume will remain the same. So what is a motor unit? A single nerve fiber with all the muscle fibers it supplies. One nerve fiber supplying more muscle fibers are called as motor unit. So isometric contraction, length remains the same but tension is going to increase, pushing the wall. So you cannot change the length of the wall, but you can give your amount of, but the work is, here you are giving an amount of energy but the work is not done. So the wall length will remain the same but tension is going to increase. Isotonic is length is going to change, tension remains the same. Throwing a stone. Okay. So you can see isometric, isotonic contraction. Length tension relationship. So muscle length is held at constant various lengths. Muscle direct is stimulated at many points. Okay. So when the muscle is stretched, passive tension is developed due to stretch of elastic elements. So this is not important. So you can see in the muscle tension length. In the length tension relationship, if you study, the one thing you should know in length tension relationship is that in the length tension relationship you can find the optimum length. You can find the optimum length. That is very important. The speed of the muscle shortening depends on cross bridge cycling speed. The force developed depends on the number of cross bridges formed. As the afterload on the muscle increases, velocity will be decreased because cross bridge can cycle less rapidly against the higher resistance. So the velocity, length velocity relationship, if you can see, it will give you the idea about the work done and not done. That's isotonic and isometric. Okay. Rigor mortis, you can see that. So after the death, the body will go to a rigidity position. This is due to the fixed interaction between actin and myosin head. ATP is required to break those bonds by taking the calcium back. So calcium is not taken back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The calcium circulates in the sarcoplasm itself. So more actin myosin head will be getting bonded and there will be no breakage of this due to the loss of ATP. Since after death there is no respiration occurring, so there is no ATP generated. So the loss of rigidity will happen after few hours only due to proteolysis. So that the body will be in a rigid position. So you should know about two fibers, red muscle fibers and the white muscle fibers. So red muscle fibers are seen in the person who is marathon runners. So slow twitch fibers, fatigue resistant. For longer time it comes for long distance runner. But if you case taking the case of white muscle fibers, you can see them in the sprinters. They are very fast twitch fibers, fatigue prone one. So you can see those two fibers. Slow twitch are the type 1 fiber. Fast twitch are type 2. Slow twitch is nothing but the red. Fast twitch is the white. Okay. Difference due to the different myosin ATPase isoenzyme that are slow or fast. Okay. So slow twitch period, fast twitch period. Extensive blood supply, less blood supply. Thinner fibers, thicker fibers. They're thin. Okay. So the blood can pass. More mitochondria, less mitochondria. Okay. Copious myoglobin. More myoglobin, less myoglobin. Less glycogen and glycolytic enzymes, more glycogen and glycolytic enzymes. Lesser ATPase activity, so they are very slow. More ATPase, this is more, okay. And you can see there, okay. So slow to reduce the oxidative system. Here you can use glycolytic and phosphotin system. Electromyography during a normal twitch, minute electrical potential is dissipated into surroundings. This can be picked up by surface electrodes on the skin. Okay, so EMG is also very important only. Okay, All the motor units do not contract at the same time, so the electric potential is being prolonged. Okay, this is what EMG, electromyography. So these are the properties of skeletal muscle: excitability, contractility, conductivity, and tonicity. So you can know the stimulus. Okay, minimal, threshold, submaximal, maximal, supramaximal. Okay. So you can know the summation, right? For summation, you have in summation you can see that there are two things. One is multiple fiber summation, another one is the frequency summation. The multiple fiber summation are summation more motor unit would be there. Whereas in frequency summation there will be more frequency of contraction. So once you can increase the summation, you can increase the contraction by increasing the motor unit, or you can increase the contraction by the increasing the more frequencies of contraction. Two things you can do. Okay, that is what given here. So in post-tetanic potentiation, you will give a simple contraction that will reaches a level, whereas a post-tetanic potentiation will be more than the initial given contraction. Okay. So if you can see single touch tension, it goes to a level and then it will be higher than the given one, initial one. Okay. Trapeze or staircase effect. This is very important. Okay, staircase phenomena. After a period of rest, sudden series of stimulation result in a series of contraction that increases in amplitude until a steady state is reached. This is due to the redistribution of intracellular calcium and more calcium availability. So it will be a star case. After giving a series of stimulation, it will result in a sustained contraction. Okay, the steady state will be reached. Okay, sustained contraction and the fraternization will be reached. This is a star case phenomena where a sustained contraction has been achieved due to the, if you are giving a series, that is the same sudden series of stimulation, if you are giving for a longer time, it will reach as a sustained contraction, or you can call it a fraternization. That is called as Trapeze or staircase effect. Okay, that's it about this video. So what you should know in this is about, you should know about skeletal muscle. What are the sarcomeres? What is sarcoplasma reticulum? What is sarcoplasm? What are the proteins required? And you should know about the skeletal muscle contraction and relaxation, each and every step in detail. You should know about the rigor mortis. Okay, the slow and fast fibers, tetanus. Okay, staircase effect. Okay, about the four summation. It is one is the multiple fiber summation, and one is the frequency summation. About that, and the post-tetanic potentiation process, length velocity and length tension relationship. Okay, the A band will be in the same width, whereas the I band and H zone will get what shortened. That you should know very well. Sarcomere is also getting reduced in its length. Sarcomere reduced in length. Okay, but the A band I band does not reduce in length, but the I band will get shortened, but not reduce in length. These are the things you should know, and some clinical aspects. What I told you is about the electromyography and the rigor mortis you should remember.